You're watching Through the Looking Glass with Dr. Jenny Klein.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Klein, and I've missed you, so I'm back with a new show for us all. It's about our feelings, fears, and fantasies, our pain and our pleasure, our problems and our solutions. It's a time for us to get together, talk things over, think things over, and find out that we are not alone. Perhaps then we can help each other make this world and our lives just a little bit better. Did you ever listen to someone who speaks mean to you and feel sad or mad or scared? Let's take a closer look just at that issue. Ruth, hi. I'm glad you came.
Me too.
You sounded very stressed when you called.
I'm still recovering from, I don't know what happens to me. It's just like I'm sweating and my heart's racing, and I just really want to go into if there was a nice warm hole right now, I'd crawl in it.
And what would
I'm
you
sorry I didn't get you some coffee, but
you don't
I
have
wanted
anything
some.
to be sorry for, honey. And what would you escape if you went into that hole? What feelings?
I just feel like totally overwhelmed.
Do you feel, can you specify a feeling, or overwhelmed? Are you scared?
I guess it's kind of like that. I just really want to get away from these people. My God, they're just like so annoying.
How? How, Ruth?
They start talking about something with such intensity, and their voices get so loud, and to be honest with you, I can't even focus on content anymore.
Do they sound like they're being mean to you?
They sound very aggressive. Very aggressive.
And then you start to sweat and get nervous inside?
I'm still sweating.
What is, those feelings probably came up for you when you were little, because there is no time in the mind.
I haven't been little for a long time. I can't
There's
understand.
no time in the mind. Look, when you were a little kid, do you remember a favorite doll?
I really didn't play with dolls.
Did you have a teddy bear?
I had a really nice teddy bear, yeah.
What color?
It's brown.
Did you just see a picture of it?
I still have it.
Okay, so is it in your room?
Yeah.
Okay, what was
The
the
one
color?
thing I
What was
have.
the color of your blanket when you were a little child?
I don't remember.
The walls?
I don't remember.
Pictures?
Really don't think there were any.
Do you remember anything that you don't still have that was a favorite thing of yours when you were a child?
The only thing I have that I have left is my teddy bear.
And that picture came up. Where is it now in your room? Is it in the closet?
It's on my bed.
It's on your bed.
I still sleep with it.
Okay.
I guess that sounds kind of stupid, but I like my teddy bear.
Right. And that teddy bear
Makes me feel happy.
didn't speak harshly to you.
My teddy bear was never mean to me.
Right. And so you didn't sweat and you didn't feel anxious.
No, he listened to me, my teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
And I really can't bring my teddy bear to work, can I? I mean, really, it's a bit much.
Well, you can remember how your teddy bear treated you and how comfortable you felt because you weren't being spoken to in a mean way.
The nicest person in my life gave me that teddy bear. I still
Who's
miss
that?
my grandfather.
What was his name?
Greg. Papa Greg.
You called him Papa Greg?
Yeah.
And he wasn't mean.
Never was mean to me.
What did you think when other people were, like your mom or your dad or your siblings? Did you think you weren't a good girl, or you did something wrong, or?
Just thought I didn't like it. You know, it's really hard to be
Did you
yelled at a lot.
Could you change them? Would you wish you could change them?
I wish they wouldn't yell at me.
And when they were yelling at you, did they suggest what you should do and shouldn't do so they wouldn't be
I don't really
angry?
remember. Just knew they were very loud and
Mean to you?
aggressive, and just I guess they were Unhappy, I guess. I don't know.
They were unhappy about you, or they're unhappy inside themselves?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
You
They
know,
were very weird parents.
when people don't
You
understand.
know, they didn't want to take care of me. That's why I got to stay with my grandparents so much.
Right.
Kind of wondered why they bothered having kids. But they would, make me come home some of the time. I don't know why. Would have rather not ever been with them.
Yeah, but you didn't have any power as a child as to who you were born to.
No one listened to me, that's for sure, except my grandfather.
Well, isn't it funny that your grandfather had the capacity to hear you and to be kind, and your parents obviously did not? But it wasn't your fault, and you couldn't change them. Did you ever think, well, if I did this and I did that, they'd be different?
Just wanted them to die. And then I'd feel bad that I wanted them to die.
You
Then
were
my
ang-
grandfather died
Yeah.
instead of them.
But you were angry at them for
They were
treating.
so
They were mean,
mean.
and that's a normal feeling, anger. When we're first born, do you have children yet?
No, they never wanted to have children.
Was that?
I just didn't see the purpose in having them, and figured, I wouldn't be able to do a good job of taking care of them.
Really? Did you ever think that there's some way you failed your parents, or they're mad at you because you didn't make them happy?
I guess in some ways.
You had.
I just had such a tough time.
Well, you had a tough
growing
time
up.
because you had tough parents, and they were not aware of why they were mean, and you couldn't change them. But you didn't have to change your grandfather because he wasn't like that. See, it wasn't your fault that your parents were like that. It was just their ignorance of themselves.
Who knows? Seems so
Did you
difficult.
think it was your fault when they were mean? That you should have this and you should
I
have
just
that?
thought that they were being mean, but why would you be mean? Why were they being mean to me? I really couldn't figure that out. And why were they so unhappy with me? I couldn't figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to avoid them. I like avoiding mean people. But, it's really hard. I have to. I don't have to. I like working. I like my job. And these people at work now just, oh my God, I think they remind me of my parents.
Well, you know what? The mind does a search, like in your computer.
Yeah.
If you put something in 20 years ago in your computer, it comes right up instantly.
Yeah.
And your mind, your unconscious mind, which is 90%, processes at 400 million synapses, the little gap between the wires of your brain, the neurons, a second. And your awareness, your conscious mind, only 12 to 14,000. So the gal who I learned that from, who had this book, Molecules of Emotion, I'm trying to tell you that when someone's mean at work, it goes right back to your parents and right back up again.
But this is
And
really
you get
happening
these
too
feelings
much
and
at work. I
sweating
just
and-
really want to leave the job, but I can't. Look, I don't want to leave my job because these people are mean, but I can't function around them, and they're
Because
on
they
the
bring
same
up the
team.
feelings of yesterday when your parents were mean.
They're being mean.
Yes, but it brings up the
It paralyzes
feelings.
me.
It brings up the paralysis, the sweating, the anxiousness that you felt as a child.
I think they're related.
Yeah, because in the mind there isn't any time. So if someone did what your parents did, they do it today, and it
That
was.
was such a long time ago.
But there's no the speed of searching the brain and bringing up a file that you put in 20 years ago.
That
It's
sounds
it's
so
very
weird,
fast.
but
Well,
never thought of it that way.
Well, when that happens, they're mean and you start getting anxious inside, say to yourself this is not about me and it's not my fault. this is about them. Because children think they did something wrong. That's why their parents are mad at them. And that wasn't the case. He's just a
I want to be
kid.
in a safe place, and it just doesn't feel safe.
Well,
But it's affecting my ability to go to work. I don't want to take any more sick time off. You know, I don't want to lose all my sick time.
but you're reacting to mean people today the same way you felt when you were a child, when you probably blamed yourself that I wasn't good enough girl, so they're being mean to me, you know? And that it was never your fault when you were a cop, who your parents were. And
Well, I
it's not
didn't
your
pick
fault
them.
when you have mean
Those
people
aren't the
at work.
people I would have picked. And I have no choice now to pick these people in the team. They've been assigned to me.
But it brings up the feelings that we have as a kid. If I were this and if I were that, if I was a good enough girl, they wouldn't be mean. That's not true. There are lots of people who died in the concentration camps. It wasn't their fault. It's just had very mean people there.
She's still dead.
Right.
And I'm still sweating.
Well, when you sweat, if you can remember to say to yourself when you're sweating, this is about them, not me. It was never my fault. It's not just the people at work. It's the triggering of your parents' meanness.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't my fault. This is not about me. This is about them. They got to live their life being mean, because that's what they do.
So it's not helpful to tell them they're being mean.
It won't make a difference.
It won't make a difference. It sucks.
Because you couldn't change them any more than you could change your parents. But your grandfather never treated you that way, honey. Your grandfather never treated you that
Never.
way because he didn't have that internal stuff to put out on grandchildren. He was kind. So how
But
bad?
he was kind to my dad, too.
Yes.
But my dad wasn't kind to me.
Whatever your dad did with his kindness, he didn't pass it on to you. And that's not your fault.
It's not my fault how he was mean.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
If you get sad about it, you say, what did I do wrong? Or if you get scared about it,
Okay, so if I get scared,
you're picking up the feelings from yesterday when you were a
okay.
kid. This is not when someone's mean to you, some people at work, say, this is not my fault, and I have no power over who they are. That's not a failure, that's a fact. But my imagination says I should have been able to make that nice.
I feel like it's like impossible now. I mean, I'm older, and I haven't been able to change this at all. I've just kept my circle of friends really small.
So you can avoid the mean
I just
people.
I don't want to let mean people affect me like that. But then I'd have to give up this job now. I don't want to give up my job.
You don't have to. What you need to do when people are mean, say, this is about them. This is not about me. I haven't failed here because people are mean. That's what kids think, that they failed because their father and mother
I don't
were
really
mean.
see how that's going to help.
It'll remind.
Why didn't somebody tell me that before?
They don't know it.
Come on, I didn't know it.
But if you
That's so
know it, you can
stupid.
practice it. Like, for instance, what if I said something to you in a harsh way? Wouldn't that make you sweat?
I can't even listen to someone when they're screaming.
No.
I really have to just close it off.
But then you don't have the opportunity to correct the belief a child has.
I don't
and
have
that
to
is, it's
hear
my
it.
fault, I did something wrong, I'm bad. Otherwise, they'd be nice. And you have to say, this is not my fault, it's not in my power, and it's not, and I don't want to believe that anymore.
So you think it's my fault that I get upset?
No, I don't think it's your fault. I think it's the belief from a long time ago coming up as a child, say, oh, Dad's mean to me. What did I do wrong? And they're blaming themselves. Did you think that when you were a kid?
I don't remember. I just wanted to get away from it.
Well, sure, it was very harsh. And it wasn't fair. And you couldn't change them. You were a kid.
And if you did address it, you know, and say you're being mean, they would deny it, and then they get meaner.
They get meaner and blame you more. This is never a child's fault. Have you seen a child lately? Have you seen
Yeah,
a 4-year-old, 5-year-old lately, and a mother screaming at her somewhere in a store or something?
Try not to pay attention. It's so sad.
Because you don't want to feel the feelings from yesterday that you had.
No.
It was never your fault. And you have, whenever someone's mean and nasty at work, this is not about me, this is not in my control, and it's not my fault. That's a correction. Because kids blame themselves when parents are mean, and it's not their fault. Some people beat their children and kill them. It's not the child's fault.
No, but it's so sad. There's nothing I can do about it.
Well, there's something you can do when people are mean. You can say, this is about them. This was never my fault then. It's not my fault now. And I'm not going to believe what I believed as a child. And you can even get pissed. You can get angry. And you say, this makes me very angry when people are mean and they take it out on anyone they can. And I don't blame you. It makes me angry too. But
you get angry when people are rude to you?
Well, I get angry at their behavior, but I have learned through the years, not from school, just from my own growth, to practice saying, this is not about me. And I have no power over them, and it's not my fault that they're mean. That's what kids believe. They're great big parents, they're mean, and they're giving the kid a guilt trip, and the kid buys it because he has no other person telling him not to.
That affects you for the rest of your life, even when you get away and...
That's what you told me. But it also affects you when your grandfather was wonderful to you.
Yeah.
So how can two people be different toward the same child if you were so bad? It's not that you were bad, it's that your grandfather was nicer than your parents and more capable of loving, not scolding and being mean.
So how did my parents get to be so mean? I don't know.
Some people take advantage of nice parents and they decide they're going to have the power and they get mean and nasty.
It doesn't really matter, I guess.
No, but it wasn't your fault. But every child thinks it is. Every child thinks it is because they're powerless.
So you're saying that it wasn't my fault that my parents were mean to me.
That's right.
And that they were mean because they needed to be mean for some reason.
Instead of hating themselves, they're going to dump it on a little kid.
What do you mean hating themselves?
Well, their imaginary self they never live up to, so they say, you know, I suck. And instead of putting themselves down, they put the kid down. That's what people do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But other people, like yourself, gravitate toward your grandfather.
Yeah, it was much more fun to be with him.
And you can love him back because he's loving you. He's not hurting you.
Those were the sad days when I had to go back and live with them.
Yeah. Well, if you're put in a...
Felt like I was in a prison.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. If you're in a prison and there's fires threatening you all around, it's not as comfortable as if you're in a nice place and you're safe from meanness and threat. But it was not your fault. But children believe it is.
All children believe it?
Well, children's power is imaginary, and that has no limit. So they say, well, if I was this and if I was that, they wouldn't be mean. That's a wish that I could be perfectly good enough that they wouldn't be mean. You can't change another personality. And that's what I do for a living. I don't change it, but you can. You can change the sweats. When you start to sweat, you're re-experiencing the feeling of someone being mean. What did I do wrong?
Yeah, it really is bad.
And when you're feeling that, you say, this was not my fault. It wasn't in my power. this was not my fault. I'm innocent here.
So then, if I start doing that,
right, you correct what you believed as a
correct it?
child. Yes, excellent. You're smart. What do you do for a living?
Jess, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
You're smart. This is hard
not
stuff
that
to
smart.
get.
But I just don't want to, I just don't want to like use up all my sick time. I don't think that's going to, it's staying home, not going to work isn't correcting
Right.
my sweating.
No, you're
'Cause
sweating.
I still sweat.
You're sweating because when
I feel
someone's
like I'm
mean,
afraid to go
you
back
assume
to
you've
work.
done, you're bad. Because they're mean to you, so you must have done something
So I feel like
wrong.
I
So you correct
deserve,
that
you're
thought.
saying.
Yes.
I deserve to be treated badly.
Yes, because you're believing, what did I do wrong? What do you know? They're your parents, so if they're screaming at you, what did I fail to do?
And so when this person or these two people who are really obnoxious start raising their voice and getting very aggressive, I want it to stop. But I'm afraid to say anything.
That's right, the same way you were as a child. So you figured it's my fault. Well, why? If I were perfect, they wouldn't be that way. That's ridiculous because you don't create your parents. They were there before you
But
were
at
born.
work, what am I going to do? What can I say?
What did I say you could say to yourself when you start to
It's
sweat?
not my fault.
This is not my fault, and it's not in my power how they are. This is
So
not
when they're
about
done
me.
yelling, I don't have to say anything, really.
No, but you say that to yourself, the self that's blaming you for not being good enough to have nice parents. Obviously, you were good enough to have someone who's capable of loving a child like your grandfather. So it had nothing to do with your failure if your parents were mean, because
So
it's about them, not you.
instead of avoiding going to work,
Use it
go
as practice
to work
and say,
and know they're going to be yelling and screaming.
and say,
And say, when they're yelling and screaming, it's not my fault.
right,
And when they're done yelling and screaming, they're done yelling and screaming. And I can still be there. And
that's right.
doesn't mean I have to be, oh, I guess it's still going to scare me when their voices go up, but I don't have to run away.
That's right. Because when we imagine if I were perfectly good and if I was 100%, they wouldn't scream, that's the one who's yelling at you, the one you created as a desperate wish as a child. As if you had the power to change your parents, you didn't. So that self is screaming at you, not just your people at work or your parents.
So it's a historical.
Well, it's a wished up, a desperate wish to be good enough to may have the power to change your parents from being screamers.
I see.
And the one you're saying, I am good enough, you're answering that perfect self you wished you could be. That would change your parents. You never had that power. It's just an imaginary wish. So you're talking back to the self that said, oh, if I was perfect, they wouldn't be that way. I said, forget it. That's like if they were perfect, they'd have blonde hair instead of brown hair. You don't have that power.
Don't have the power to be who someone else needs you to be in order to not yell.
Right.
Boy,
And
it's
so,
pretty complicated.
so when all you have to do is say, you get it, all you have to do is say, this is not my fault how they are. Because you're speaking to the self that says, if I was perfect, they'd be different. It's a desperate wish, that's all it is.
But sometimes I feel like telling them off, see, then that would get me in trouble.
When you were 5, not in work. It wouldn't get
Well,
you. Telling them off is not your style anyway, but the point
It's
is,
too scary.
you can assert yourself. You say, if you're angry at someone, are you that angry with yourself that you have to do this?
Oh.
You know what? They don't want to know that they're hating themselves, so maybe that'll stop them. They'll pick on somebody else.
Could I say to them,
Mm-hmm.
your voice is so loud I'm having trouble understanding you?
Well, that's an interesting thing because they're losing something. But you know, you say, "Why are you
What's
so
wrong with
angry?
you?" They'll say.
Why are you so angry?"
I could say to them, you sound really angry.
Mm-hmm.
Could say that.
Sure.
'Cause when
But
people raise their
remember-
voices, I guess I could focus
Right.
on what it means that they're raising their voice
Right.
instead of how scared it makes me.
Right, and say this isn't about me.
And say that to myself.
Yes, this is
Don't
not
tell
my
them.
fault. No, this is not my fault.
They won't give us.
No, they wouldn't give a kid. They want to brush it off on you. Just say that to yourself, so
Okay.
you don't blaming yourself and shaking. Okay?
I think I can try this. It's
It's
better than losing my job because I'm getting in trouble and not going to work and you
Right.
know.
But if you continue to do that, you'll get to do that quicker and quicker, and the anxiety is going to be, the sweats are going to go down.
They'll go down, but they'll never go away totally, right?
You'll just keep saying it until you believe it more and more
At least
and more.
I won't be running away like a scaredy cat. Maybe that's my goal, not to be so frightened.
Yeah, because what we're frightened at is thinking that I did something wrong and look at I made my parents be mean. I said,
But it is normal to want to get away from
Oh,
frightening
of course.
things, right?
Of course it is.
But I can't
Of
run
course
away
it is.
from everybody at work who's frightening. Yeah.
Of course it is.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll talk next week. Just give it a try. It's not an instant thing. It's the more you say it, the more you get to believe it. Says,
Well, at
this is
least it
not
gives
my
me
fault.
some idea of something
How to
different
approach
to
it.
do
Yes.
than running away.
That's in your power, what you say to yourself.
Okay.
Okay? Terrific. So we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now, isn't she a wonderful actress?
Funny.
This lady has been doing this show for a long time, and Sue Friedman, you're terrific at this. You're
Thank you.
great.
Thank you, Dr. Klein.
You really help get the message out so much. I appreciate you doing the show so much. Sue Friedman, you know about this because you're a therapist, right?
That's right.
Where?
I'm a therapist in Central New Jersey, Bridgewater, and do my own work and try to help people do their work.
Yeah, and this was a terrific role you played.
I'm sweating, too.
Well,
Just because it's hot. Not because, thank God it's hot. It's nice not to have so
Well,
much snow.
I want to thank you, Susan Friedman,
welcome.
and
Always a pleasure.
your patients are blessed because they have a very understanding and kind person.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
So
you
kind
very
of you.
much. And I want to thank our audience for saying hello when I'm bopping through town, or giving a call, or writing letters and suggesting shows. If you have a question, please feel free to write to me, or go to my website. It's in the credits, and we can all help each other make this world a little bit better. Okay? You take care of yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Dr. Jenny Klein would love to hear from you. Email her, jennyklein@gmail.com, or give her a call at 908-722-2933. If you'd like to see more, feel free, just go to drjennyklein.com.